Hello, hello, hello. And I just could not let this next UFC 254 that is come and go without doing a proper prediction video. So here we are, UFC 254. Let's get right into it. I'm super excited for this opening card fight. I'm doing the main card. I'm super excited for the opening fight here. Just a little bit of history. This is actually the second time they've booked the rematch. This is between, I'm choosing Magomed Ankalaev to beat Ion Cutelaba. Their first fight, actually the first minute was explosive. You saw Ankalaev land a huge punch against Ion. It kind of stunned him, but he was clearly playing possum. It was over-exaggerated. You could see a clear time, but the ref made a huge mistake and stopped the fight. Then the fight was rebooked a month or two ago. Didn't go through, so now we're finally, hopefully, getting to see this fight. And I'm sticking with my original pick of Ankalaev. Now, next up, I'm choosing Lauren Murphy to beat. I keep just like, I went through these names. But they're like, through Lilia Shakarova. I'm choosing Philip Haas or Hayes, not quite sure how to say that, to beat Jacob McClown or McClown. Whew. Choosing Walt Harris to beat Alexander Volkov. Now, I'm actually going back and forth on this one. I was surprised to see that Walt Harris is actually only about 2 or 3 inches shorter than Volkov, and he only has about a 3 or 4 inch reach disadvantage. I thought it would be more than that. Now, they both have fought during the quarantine time, which I think is highly important during this time that they both fought recently. Even though he is coming off of a loss, I think that he would be able to get inside of Volkov's range, where I do believe he has more punching power in the pocket in close areas. However, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We'll see if Volkov will be able to fight long and use that reach to keep him away. I think that Walt will be able to eventually take him down to the ground, but Volkov actually has good wrestling and has good takedown defense himself. So again, I am going back and forth on this one, but for right now, going with Walt Harris. Now, all of a sudden, like all the loudest cars decided they wanted to come by just now. All right, but now I'm loosened up. I'm into it now. So now we're on the co-main event. Let's go ahead and break this one down. This one is extremely important. It's basically the next person to win this is going to get Israel Adesanya. We're seeing the number 1, Robert Whittaker, take on, I believe, the number 2 in Jared Cannonier. They're basically the same size. Going back and forth on this one as well. Now, Jared Cannonier, I do believe, has better wrestling. However, I'm not quite sure. I do think he has better wrestling, though. If I had to bet money, it would be nervous money. But it would be on his wrestling, just because I think he is more relentless with it. I do believe he has a little bit better angles. I think he works on it more and has more of that base, even though he actually kind of started off as a all-round fighter. He didn't really have a base like most of these other fighters do. Robert Whittaker, of course, has that kickboxing, Muay Thai base, but he is an underrated wrestler as well, who's going to be physically stronger. I actually think Jared is going to be physically stronger with the wrestling, with the grappling, but again, I'm actually not quite sure. Now, on the feet, who has more diversity in their weapons, I think, is Robert. I think Robert's going to be stronger on the feet in space. Now, we know he has that Muay Thai, he has those great knees, which will have him come in close, but I actually think Jared's going to be, can generate more power in close quarters. I think he would do well with the dirty boxing up against the cage and really in the center of the octagon, because like I said, but you do have to be careful of Robert Whittaker's knees. But you have that ability. I think you're going to be quicker on the inside. You can beat up head, body, feet, all of those things on the inside. I just think Jared's going to be a little bit more of kind of a organized chaos in close quarters, even though, like I said, I know Robert Whittaker has those elbows and it does have knees. I think Jared's going to be quicker on the inside. Whew. I do think Robert should keep this on the outside, where I do think he can use more of his tools. I think he has more diversity, especially with his kicks, and you should use those kicks. Tear apart Jared Cannonier's lead leg, get him hesitant, stop him from coming in, because I think that just sheer veracity, Jared's going to have that. He wants this. I mean, he wants this. He's 36 years old, and this is not the heavyweight division where they hit their prime a little bit later, but he's still in great condition. Also, that brings me to, not only is Robert 29, however, Robert has taken more serious injuries with the knee, with the back, and all of those sort of things. So I'm not quite sure if him being 36 is going to come into play yet for Jared Cannonier. However, he's fully aware again, that he is 36 in the middleweight division, not the heavyweight division. So again, that heart, that wanting it more, I think is there on Jared's side. However, that means he could fight out of character. Robert Whittaker is not the type to talk trash to get you out of character. However, you can frustrate Jared Cannonier and get him frustrated, get him to make mistakes, and get him to fight out of character. I am going with Robert Whittaker. I think he's fought, I know he's fought a higher level of competition for a lot longer. I do think he has more diversity in his striking, but however, I think he keeps a cooler head. I think he's least likely to get frustrated and make a mistake. Also, Jared hasn't fought in a year. And during this COVID time, I have noticed that whole ring rust thing is a little bit more, because fighters, it takes you a couple of times fighting during COVID to figure out how you can fight during COVID. Even now that things have opened back up, you don't have access to the same amount of training partners, you don't have access to the same people, you can't go to the same places. So either way, it's still different now. And the fact that Jared hasn't fought in a year does worry me. That helps me lean towards Robert, but this is actually a toss-up. I would not be surprised if Jared won this fight, and I am crazy excited about this fight. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's possibly a show stiller. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight, but I am leaning towards Robert Whittaker. Now, main event, and we are seeing the UFC lightweight champion, Mr. Khabib Nurmagomedov, take on Justin Gaethje. I keep saying, is it 12 Gaethje, 12 gauge Gaethje? And it's not. Every time I ask you what his nickname is, I'm like, what am I? It's not 12 gauge. Someone again, please, again. I'm so sorry. Again, let me know what Justin Gaethje's nickname is. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. So, Justin Gaethje is the interim champion, but honestly, as he initially I think he passed on the belt, or shooed the belt away, because he's like, it's not the real belt, even though afterwards he accepted it, gave his little speech, played the company role. But I actually believe how you really believe, Justin, that's not the real belt. However, you are interim champion. Let's go ahead and break you down. Both of these fighters I like Justin Gaethje a lot. That's why I didn't want him fighting Tony Ferguson, because that's my boy too, and I didn't want one of them to lose. Anyway, so, but y'all know, when I did my prediction video on that, when I found out this fight was happening, I was like, Tony, no. Styles make fights. And at the lightweight division, y'all are all at the top 10 or whatever. Y'all are all killers. You can't just be taking fights, think you're going to continue to win, especially someone as dangerous as Justin Gaethje. And Justin Gaethje in that fight proved that he's turned yet another corner. He no longer, as he first came in, I like to block punches with my head. And please don't be PC on me, but we know Justin Gaethje, he's one of those white boys who gets turned on once he gets hit in the face. Gets popped him in the face one good time, and he's like, come on! And you're looking like, oh no, I got the wrong one. That's Justin Gaethje. But he realized this is a street fights. These are professionals, and I have to block my head, and he does that now. He actually has head movement now. He enters and exits on angles now. His stand-up has actually grown quite a bit since he's joined the UFC, and it hasn't been that long. He's got that wrestling base, of course. His kicks has developed. Again, his whole entire stand-up game has really come a long way. His kicks they're just as powerful as his hands. We know he's known for that punching power, but his kicks are super powerful. We're seeing the diversity in those kicks. We saw how he was able to hinder Tony Ferguson with those kicks. You're going to need to do all of that against Khabib in the first and second round, not even first three. First 2 rounds, you need to hurt Khabib. You need to do some action. You need to make him think. You need to tear apart that lead leg, and I would say low kicks, calf kicks, because I know you have to be strategic with the kicks, with the threat of Khabib's wrestling. And yes, I do believe Khabib is a better wrestler, even though you do have a wrestling base. Lower kicks, calf kicks, lower around the knee kicks, oblique kicks, those dirty little kicks that are illegal that we don't like. Employ them all. This is the championship here, and this is Khabib. So you really need to hobble him early. Because even though you have got a hold of your cardio issues, I still believe that Khabib has better cardio than you. And even though you have good wrestling takedown defense, and I don't think that he'll be taking you down just all willy-nilly, especially in the first few rounds when you're fresh, when those staying off those takedown attempts drains your energy, and eventually Khabib will be taking you down at will. So you have to hobble him quick, fast, and early in the first 2 rounds. Kicks to the lower thigh and to the calves, where they don't have as much meat and protection there. Punches to the body, lower body, legs. You have to slow him down early, or else he's going to drain your energy, whether he's taking you down or not. He's not going to play around with you like your Al Iaquinta and try to stand. Now let's go over to Khabib. Don't play around with him like he's Al Iaquinta and try to stand. You'll get knocked out. You were stunned by Al Iaquinta. Gaethje will knock you out. So you're a smart fighter. You're not going to play around with him. You're going to go try to take him down, which is where you are best, but it's how you get there. He does have good takedown defense. You are going to have to employ some kind of stand-up game. You're not going to be able to just telegraph those takedowns. He will see them coming, and then he can time his counters with his hands and with his legs there. So I do believe he is going to kick, because I think he knows he has to tear apart your lead leg or try to hobble you. So time those kicks. Watch his movements. Maybe even take the first round out to see how he moves. Try to bait him into bad movement on the feet. Hopefully you've been working on your stand-up. Actually, I know that you have. Fight behind the jab. Maybe you can get some shots in there. Even if they're feints, even if they don't land, you can distract him. You can make him hesitant, which opens up your wrestling. Even if the wrestling attempt doesn't actually follow through, you don't actually get him to the ground, you'll have him thinking, you're going to do all of this. We know all of this, but you need to work towards the ground, close against the cage, where you're pressing your body up against him, weighing on him, to knees to the thighs there. You can jump back up to the head, to the body punches, while you're trying to soften him up against the cage and take him down, zap that energy, work towards a finish later on in the fight. Justin Gaethje, in the first 2 rounds, you need to hobble him and then possibly work towards a finish later in the fight, or if you see an opportunity there with your superior stand-up. Khabib, you need to drain that energy, drain that speed of Justin Gaethje, that veracity of Justin Gaethje, then work towards a finish towards the end of the fight. I do think this could possibly end, but later in the fight. I actually don't see something ending in the first 2 or 3 rounds unless we see a knockout from Gaethje. I actually don't see a knockout from Khabib, because Gaethje got a hell of a chin. So we could see a knockout from Gaethje in the first 3 rounds, but other than that, I see this ending in the championship rounds, or possibly going to the decision. So who am I going to pick? I just did a guest spot on barbershop conversations on YouTube with Fred Hawthorne. He does shows every day, actually. He's got a nice audience. He just interviewed Fred Hammond from the boxing era. He interviews a wide range of people, so please check him out there. And now he'll have me back on again. And I was asked this question, and I didn't know then, and I really don't know now. This could go either way. Like I said, I actually think Justin Gaethje is probably the most dangerous fighter in the entire division. I just respect the man's gangster. And he has that power that can end the fight at any time. And he's turned such a corner. He's fighting smart now, and he didn't used to do that. So Khabib is, we know Khabib is a staple. He's a standard, cool head. Not going to get him out to fight out of character. Can you bait him into bad movement? Can you stop him early? Relentless, better cardio. So normally I stay safe and stay with the champ, but let's have some fun, shall we? I'm picking Justin Gaethje. Yes, I am. Because then also we might get that Khabib-Tony fight as well, but that's actually not why I'm doing it. I guess I have a feeling a little bit. Plus, you know what? Let's have some fun. Justin Gaethje. All right, let me know all your picks, any injury updates, any fight changes, any last minute, anything at all. You know, things are just ever changing here, so let me know all your picks and just talk to me. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I might have some changes, last minute changes myself. Subscribe, like, talk to me, take care, and goodbye.